Hello, bookworms! Today I'm here with my Black Friday book haul. I did a wonderful job in November of not buying that many books. And then Black Friday happened, and I bought more books on Black Friday than I did in several months of the year combined. In this haul, I am only going to show the books that I bought from Book Outlet on Black Friday. I also bought 2 books from Barnes & Noble, but I'm going to save those for my December haul because I'm expecting it to be much lighter. There are so many books in this haul that I can't even have them in a pile next to me because you would be able to see the top of that pile. That is how tall this book pile is. But anyway, so I'm not going to go into too much depth about any of the books because some of them I don't totally know what they're about. There are ones that were good deals and I thought looked interesting, or I had it on my wish list at some point. So I thought that I would just pick them up now impulsively when they were so inexpensive. And also, if I were to go through the synopsis of every single book, we would be here for an eternity. I don't think anyone has that kind of time. But so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. The first book that I picked up is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. This is one of those books that I don't know too much about. I do know that it is about books. You may notice that there are books on the cover of this book, something that is very appealing to me, who loves books. That was a big motivation in picking this up. I have heard good things about it. I believe it might be historical, but I'm not positive, so I really have no idea, but it looks good. The next book that I have is Big Fish, and this is by Danielle Wallace. I remember really liking this movie when I saw it all those years ago when it came out in the movie theater, so I thought, why not give the book a shot? Books are usually better than movies. Unfortunately, one of my friends told me after I bought it that she heard that the movie was better, so we'll see. The next book that I picked up is Red Shirts by John Scalzi. I am really looking forward to reading this book because I have heard a lot of my friends rave about it, and it's called Red Shirts because I believe that they are making fun of Star Trek and how people in the red shirts are always the people that die. I just thought that sounded very humorous and like something that I would enjoy because I love a good sci-fi read, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. The next book that I picked up is Flights and Chimes and Mysterious Times. It's a rhyme. This book is by Emma Trevane, and it is a middle grade book. This one I really don't know what it's about, but I remember that I had put it on my Amazon wishlist when I had read a synopsis about it, like when it was first coming out, which was a pretty long time ago at this point. It might have been like the beginning of the year or something, and I noticed that Book Outlet had it, so I was like, okay, I'll just grab this one too in case I want to read some middle grade. The next book that I have is Winter White, which is, I believe, the second book in the Bells trilogy by Jen Kalanita. It's either the second book or the third book. I have the first book, but I have not read it yet, so I can't read the synopsis of this one even if I wanted to because I don't want to spoil the first one for myself or for anyone else if you're interested in reading it. But what I can tell you is that it is a series about young, Southern girls, so they also kind of look like fancy kind of Southern girls, and that just is very appealing to me ever since I got really into Heart of Dixie, and I just love Southern things, so I am looking forward to reading this series. I'm going to read it next year because I'm taking part in a contemporary YA romance challenge for the year that's being hosted by Jess of Gone with the Words and Danielle at Love at First Page, and I'll link that challenge down below in case anybody else wants to sign up for it, but I figured that these would be good to add to that list. The next 2 books that I have are Forthcomings by Megan McCafferty and Jessica Darling's It List by Megan McCafferty. I just said her name. I really, really loved Sloppy Firsts and Second Helpings when I was in high school. The next book that I have is The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith, or J.K. Rowling, as you may know her better. This is the second book in the Cormoran Strike series. I have not yet read the first one. I do not yet own the first one, but this was a hardcover and I got it on a good sale, and they now have the first hardcover on Book Outlet, so I'm already kind of building another cart, which is a problem, but I mean, I want to read all of J.K. Rowling's work, and I can't read this one without the first one, so, you know. Next, I have Nowhere But Home by Liza Palmer. I believe this is actually an adult contemporary book. I have not read anything by Liza Palmer yet, But my friend Alexa from Alexa Loves Books and Rachel from Hello Chelly, they both rave about this author, so I've been really interested in picking something up by her. I've read like all of their reviews of her other books, so I've always been interested in them, but I just never took the plunge and bought one yet, so I bought one now, and now I can finally see what she's all about. The next book that I have to show you is Wanderlove by Kirsten Hubbard, and I have wanted this book for a long time, but hadn't gotten it until now, so I'm excited about that. And it is about a young girl who is kind of on a path of like self-discovery. She signs up for a guided tour of, I believe it's Central America. Yes, of Central America, and you know, she's just kind of traveling and finding out about herself and interacting with other people who are at different points in their own lives. So it just sounds like it could be one of those like really like feel good kind of YA contemporaries. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. The next book that I have is Diva by Gillian Larkin. This is the third book in the Flapper series. I do not have books 1 and 2. I thought that this looked really good, and I've had this trilogy on my wish list for a while, so I wanted to pick up this one while I could, and I'm planning on getting the first one soon. I really enjoy reading about anything that is set within the 20s, so I think like the Diviners just did that to me, so I'm really looking forward to reading this series and hopefully just, you know, getting another piece of that like roaring 20s excitement. The next book that I have is Roomies, and this is by Sarah Zarr and Tara Altebrando. This book sounds really good. It's about 2 girls who are going to be college roommates, but they've never met yet. So they start exchanging emails back and forth. One of the girls thought that she was going to be in a single room, but she's, you know, wrong about that. So she's kind of like coming to terms with that. But the 2 of them end up becoming like very close over email and sharing all of their secrets and stuff, even though they've never actually met each other yet. And it's just all about their time like leading up to becoming roommates. It sounds really good. The next book that I have is Love Me, and this is by Rachel Schuchert. This is the second book in the Starstruck series. I think it's a trilogy, but I'm not 100% sure. This is another kind of historical series. I have not read the first one yet. The first one's called Starstruck, and I do have it, and I've had it for a really long time, so I feel bad about not having read it, but it just looks really good to me. This book takes place in 1930s Hollywood, and it has all of that like old time glamour, and I would imagine that there's some backstabbing since it's Hollywood, so it just looks like a really good series. The next book that I have is a guilty pleasure read, and that is The Perfectionists by Sarah Shepard. Sarah Shepard is the author of the Pretty Little Liars series, obviously. Her books are just like fun, kind of quick reads, so I really enjoy them when I'm in the mood for something more mindless. The next book that I have is The Geography of You and Me by Jennifer E. Smith. I have read one of Jennifer's other books. She writes contemporary YA romances, and I enjoyed that one, so I'm looking forward to reading this one too. This one is about 2 people who live in the same building in New York City, I believe, and they connect with each other during a blackout and end up spending a whole bunch of time just like walking around Manhattan and bonding, and it's like perfect. But then, you know, like life happens. The next book that I have is Wild Awake by Hilary T. Smith. I believe this is an Australian author. This book sounds really good. It is a YA romance, so again, it's gonna be great for that challenge next year, but it is just about like truly like falling in love with someone and like everything about them. I just love the description on the back, so that is what really like captured me in getting this. The next book that I have is All the Rage by Courtney Summers. This is a book that came out earlier this year and a lot of people have been talking about. I believe it deals with rape, so it's definitely a more serious book, but it looks like it's going to be an interesting read. I've only read good things about it. I haven't really seen anyone that has disliked it, so I'm definitely interested to see and, you know, read the entire story. The next book that I have is The Book of Ivy by Amy Engel. This is the first book in a duology that a lot of people have been talking about recently because the second book came out recently. So I've been really wanting to read this. It is about a girl who has to kill her future husband in order to bring her family back to power in this like dystopian society. So it just sounds really intriguing. I also really appreciate that it's a duology because there are just so many books to read. The next book that I have is Lux by Anna Goberson. This is another book about young girls in the past. This one takes place in 1889. The back says, pretty girls in pretty dresses partying until dawn, irresistible boys with sly smiles and dangerous intentions, white lies, dark secrets, and scandalous hookups. This is Manhattan, 1899. So this sounds really exciting to me, and I believe that I've heard Tiffany of About to Read rave about this book, so I am really looking forward to reading this one. The next book that I have is Summer of Yesterday by Gabby Triana. This book is a contemporary YA romance, but there's also time travel, so I don't know if that falls into like the sci-fi category too, even though it really does seem more like a romance type book. I know that the main character travels back into the past and she ends up meeting up with her teenage mother and father before she's ever a thought in their minds. So that sounds like it's going to be interesting. I believe I also heard at some point that people who like Disney would like this book, and obviously that's me. I love Disney, so that was like the major selling point for me on this one. The next book that I have is Love and Chaos by Gemma Burgess. This is part of the Brooklyn Girls series. I believe it's more of like a new adult type series. I recently bought the first book, which is just titled Brooklyn Girls, but I haven't read it yet. I actually got this one first and then I bought the other one afterward because I really have wanted to read that for a while, and have like getting the second one for such a good price motivated me to buy the first one. But it follows around three girls who are living in New York City like right before they're going to college, I believe. As a girl who has experienced college in New York City and has lived in New York for her whole life, this is very appealing to me because I like reading about Manhattan through the eyes of other people and just seeing other experiences that are different from ones that I've had, or maybe this will be similar. Who knows? The next book that I have is In Honor by Jessie Kirby. This is another YA contemporary romance. This book is about a girl whose brother enlists in the army and he passes away in Iraq, I believe. The girl decides to go on a road trip to California after she receives his last letter. She ends up going with one of his best friends that she doesn't really like at all. But obviously, you know, being in close quarters with one other person who's also close to someone that you're related to and have always had a great relationship with, I could see how they would end up relating on deeper levels and sparks start flying. So this looks good. The next book that I have is also by Jessie Kirby, and that is Moonglass. This one, I have no idea what it's about, but it's Jessie Kirby's first novel, so I thought that this would be a good one to read. But judging by the people on the cover, it also looks like a contemporary YA romance. So again, great for next year's reading challenge. The next book that I have is Xmas, a love-hate story by Kate Bryan. This just looks like a fun, quick Christmas read, and I feel like I've read a lot of the YA Christmas books that are currently out there, so I'm always looking for more Christmas reading material, and this totally looked like something that I would enjoy. I love the cover. Now, the next three books that I have are a complete trilogy, and again, they fall into that historical genre that I've been looking for. So they are Bright Young Things by Anna Goberson, Beautiful Days by Anna Goberson, and The Lucky Ones. So I got all three books in the trilogy. I'm not sure which one was the second one, which one's the third one, but this one takes place in 1929, and again, it is all about flappers, so I'm looking forward to reading this. The next book that I have is Magnolia by Christy Cook, and this is another contemporary YA romance. Are you sensing a theme here? Because I seem to have bought all the same types of books in this haul. This is a contemporary YA romance. It's also set in the South, and I am really hoping that there's some kind of cotillion in here because I love reading about those, so I'm looking forward to this. I've also heard really great things about it from different book bloggers and Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, whose opinion I trust very much, so I'm looking forward to this one. The next book that I have is The Cavendish Home for Boys and Girls by Claire Legrand. Claire Legrand is the author of Winterspell, whose book Melissa, Cassie, and I are reading for the Spines with Wines book club in December. So this is her other book. It's a middle grade book, and it sounds really good. As I've mentioned before, I listened to a great podcast that interviewed Claire Legrand, and it got me really interested in her work, and this just sounded really cool. It's kind of based on just like a strange type, I believe it's an orphanage. It might be a school, actually. So it's like this mysterious school, and there's lots of kids that go there, but not all of them seem to come out. So there's just something strange going on, and it sounds really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. And finally, the last book that I have to show you is Austenland by Shannon Hale. This, I believe, is another contemporary YA romance, and it is inspired by the works of Jane Austen, hence Austenland. I believe it's also a movie, which I have never seen. So those are the bajillion books that I got from Book Outlet on Black Friday, and I barely spent any money, if you can even believe that. I think it was actually like for sure less than $100 for 30 books, because everything was super discounted already because Book Outlet is great about that. But then on top of that, it was an extra 30% off. Then I also had a $5 coupon, and it feels like I only paid shipping for these books, which is just so great. Like, what a Black Friday. This was probably like one of the best Black Fridays that I've ever had, if I'm being totally honest, especially because I didn't even have to leave my home and I got these great things, and I only had to like virtually fight with people for them and just be the first one to glory by checking out before 10 a.m. when the coupon was supposed to start working. So that's exciting. But anyway, I will let you guys go now that I've taken up a whole bunch of your time. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If there are any of the books in the pile that I mentioned that you think that I should read maybe toward the top or anything, let me know, because there's a lot to choose from. So I know that I'm gonna get anxiety trying to pick my next one up. But I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye!